You don't rewatch shows because you ran out of new ones. You rewatch them because something inside you is tired of being alert. And this is the part almost no one says out loud. There's a moment that keeps happening, late at night, or after a long day, or when your thoughts feel too sharp. You open a streaming app, scroll for a while and feel nothing. New stories everywhere, new options, new promises, and then you stop. Not because it's the best choice, but because it feels familiar. You already know what's going to happen. You know the characters, you know the rhythm, you know how it ends, and something in your chest loosens when you press play. If that's you, I want you to hear this carefully. This isn't laziness, it isn't avoidance, it isn't you being stuck, it's your nervous system asking for safety. Let me explain it in a way that actually respects your experience. Every new story demands something from you. Attention, interpretation, emotional investment. Your brain has to predict outcomes, track tension, stay alert for surprise. That's exciting when you're rested, but when you're overwhelmed, it's exhausting. A familiar show doesn't demand prediction. Your brain already knows the shape of the story. So instead of scanning for danger or uncertainty, it can finally rest. That's why rewatching often happens when life feels unstable, when work feels heavy, when relationships feel uncertain, when your inner world feels loud. You're not escaping reality, you're regulating yourself. And the timing is never random. You don't usually rewatch when everything is going perfectly. You rewatch when something feels off, even if you can't name what it is. Now let me take you somewhere very specific. Picture this. It's late. The room is quiet. Your phone is face down. You put on that one show you've already seen more times than you admit. The opening music starts, and before anything even happens, your body softens. That reaction isn't nostalgia alone, it's memory plus safety. Your brain doesn't separate the story from who you were when you first watched it. So when the show begins, you're not just watching characters, you're visiting a version of yourself. Maybe you were younger, maybe life was simpler, or maybe it was painful, but you felt understood by something on the screen. That emotional context gets stored quietly, so when you rewatch, you're not going backward, you're checking in. You're asking, do I still recognize myself here? This is why rewatching can feel strangely grounding. The world may have changed, you may have changed, but the story didn't, and that stability matters more than people realize. There's another reason rewatching feels comforting, and this one is subtle. You already know the ending, which means you know you'll be okay. In real life, you don't get that certainty. You don't know how conversations will land. You don't know if people will stay. You don't know how long uncertainty will last. But in a familiar story, pain is contained, the conflict rises, the hard parts come, and then resolution. Your brain learns something important in the process. I can feel strong emotions and still be safe. For people who feel deeply, this is huge. If you're sensitive, reflective, or prone to overthinking, new stories can feel like emotional risk. But familiar ones feel like emotional rehearsal. You know where the intense scenes are, you know how long they last, you're prepared. That sense of control makes emotion manageable. Now here's something most people never consider. Rewatching isn't passive. You notice more each time. A look between characters that suddenly feels meaningful. A line that didn't matter before but now hits close to home. A scene you once skipped that now feels heavy. That's not because the story changed, it's because you did. Rewatching reveals your emotional growth without you trying. Who you relate to shifts. What you judge softens. What you feel sympathy for expands. The show becomes a mirror, and sometimes it shows you things about yourself that daily life keeps you too busy to notice. This is why rewatching can feel quietly profound. It's one of the few times you're allowed to experience emotion without pressure to perform, explain, or improve. You're not being productive. You're not fixing anything. You're just being with yourself. And for some people, that's rare. Especially if you grew up in an environment where emotional unpredictability was normal, when things were inconsistent, when moods shifted suddenly, when safety depended on reading the room. In those environments, familiarity becomes comfort. Predictability becomes peace. A familiar show doesn't change its tone without warning. It doesn't lash out, it doesn't misunderstand you. It just stays the same, and consistency is deeply regulating. This is why some people form strong attachments to specific shows, not because of the plot, but because of how it makes them feel in their body. Calm, anchored, held. If you've ever felt embarrassed about how often you rewatch something, pause for a second. Ask yourself this instead. What is this giving me that I'm not getting elsewhere right now? Is it reassurance? Is it emotional familiarity? Is it a reminder that things eventually make sense? Your answer doesn't need to sound impressive, it just needs to be honest. There's also an identity layer to this that doesn't get talked about enough. Life constantly reshapes who you are. Responsibilities, expectations, disappointments. Over time, it's easy to lose touch with what actually moves you. But when you rewatch something meaningful, you reconnect with a stable internal signal. What you laugh at, what hurts, what you value in relationships, what kinds of endings feel true to you. That's not regression, that's orientation. You're reminding yourself who you are beneath the noise. And maybe that's why rewatching often happens when you're alone, at night, when the world finally quiets down, when there's no one left to impress. That's when you choose something that already knows you, something that doesn't demand explanation, something that lets you exist without effort. If you relate to this, I want you to hear something clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. Your mind isn't broken. Your emotions aren't excessive. Your behavior isn't meaningless. It's adaptive. It's intelligent. It's protective. The only real harm comes from judging yourself for it, from telling yourself you should be different, more adventurous, more productive, more normal. But your nervous system doesn't respond to should, it responds to safety. And rewatching is one of the ways you create that safety for yourself. The invitation here isn't to stop, it's to become curious, to ask gently, without shame, what part of me is being soothed right now? What do I need that this story's giving me? What am I remembering about myself? Those questions don't ruin the comfort, they deepen it. So the next time you press play on something you've already seen, don't rush to explain it away. Notice how your shoulders drop. Notice how your breathing slows. Notice how your thoughts soften. That's not coincidence. That's your psychology working exactly as it's meant to. And if this felt personal, if it felt like someone finally put language to something you've always sensed, then you already know this space matters to you. If you want more conversations like this, the kind that don't rush you or judge you, stay here. Like the shows you return to, familiar, safe, and quietly honest.